It's time to ready your wallets and start your rockets in high stakes, a billionaire battle to Mars and back. Take on the role of billionaires as they race their ships to Mars and back for glory and profit. Along the way, buy space stations and stocks to earn extra money and reach the finish line faster. To set up the game, unfold the board and place it onto the table. Next, shuffle the stock cards and place them to the side of the board. Take all the money and place it off to the side as well. Each player will need to choose one of these billionaires to play as. Jack Bobo, the founder of the highly successful e-commerce site behemoth.com. Yuri Darwin, the inventor of the self-driving flying car. Harpo Holiday, the founder and CEO of the world's largest luxury goods company. Satoshi Orca, the inventor of the Vax coin, the currently strongest cryptocurrency. Then have each player take their corresponding player board, a revenue tracker, a spaceship piece, 7 space station tokens, and $5 billion. Each player then places their board in front of them and places the provided revenue marker on the first space of their board's revenue tracker. The player with the most money goes first. Now that we are ready to begin, each player places their ship on an empty launch pad on Earth. During the revenue phase, players collect money equal to the value shown on their board's revenue tracker. At the start of the game, this will only be $2 billion. After the revenue phase is the move phase. During this phase, players move their spaceships up, down, left, or right by paying $1 billion for each space. You may move as many spaces as you can afford, but you cannot move onto asteroids or other players. When moving onto an open space or one of their own space stations, players pay $1 billion to the bank for each space. When moving onto a space station owned by another player, they must pay the owner the $1 billion per space instead. Finally, after the move phase is the buy phase. During this phase, players may choose to either buy a space station or draw a stock card. If they choose to buy a space station, they must choose a space station tile they haven't built yet and pay the cost shown on the back. After paying, they must place the space station onto the board. They may rotate the piece but cannot place it overlapping other space stations, spaceships, or asteroids. Also, they may not place their space stations adjacent to the landing pads on either Earth or Mars. After buying a space station, players also move the marker on their revenue track one space. The more space stations players build, the more money they get at the start of their turn. If players cannot or choose not to build a space station, they instead draw a stock card and resolve its effect. After either buying a space station or drawing a stock card, players may pay $1 billion to draw a single extra stock card. If a player cannot pay enough money for a card's effect, they will suffer a bankruptcy. They must remove one of their space stations on the board. They then collect the cost of the space station in money and pay off whatever amount they still owe. They finally move their marker on their revenue track back one space. After finishing the buy phase, play switches to the next player on the left. Once a player makes it to Mars and back to Earth, finish the current round. Once the round ends, the player who made it back to Earth and has the most money wins. High stakes, a billionaire battle to Mars and back. Looking for more fun and games? Check out nmrbrands.com and follow at Aquarius_EMI on social media.